Hey guys, today we're going to be playing a game called Duskbound, which is about a deer vampire. So, yeah, let's get started. This game contains dark and unsettling themes and may not be suitable for everyone. Would you like to see the content warning? Yeah, let's take a look. Game features textual descriptions of manipulation, blood, violence, that, and dubious consent. There are visual, non-graphic depictions of blood. There is no light in the city. A dull red moon is all that illuminates our eternal night. Even the lanterns are obscured by countless moths. People trace the same paths every day, seemingly possessed by no spirit at all, simply droning on. Some days it feels like I'm the only one who's alive, and everyone else is merely a ghost. It wasn't always like that. Long ago, the city shone as a beacon to all those who believed in the one Lord, until the Red Plague fell upon us, and our great cathedral was abandoned by those who proclaimed that they would save us. They took the light with them when they left. But they couldn't take everything from us. I, for one, have done my best to find hope in small things, like my meeting with him. There is no light in the city, but he is the sun. I don't know who he is, but I saw him one day ambling through the town square. His garments were impeccably tailored, and his hair framed his face in a way that I had only seen in paintings. And those fine threads, if he had stopped by my workshop, I would have surely remembered. Of course, I have seen attractive men in my life, but there is simply something different about him in that glint in his eyes. As I examine him, his eyes met mine, and a radiant smile comes over his features. The light behind his eyes shone so dazzling. I haven't seen anyone in this city look like that in years. When it occurred to me that I was staring at him, I quickly averted my eyes. Excuse me. I rushed past him, embarrassed by the blush slowly rising on my cheeks. In the days that followed, I passed by the town square as often as I could, afford myself the time to, hoping to catch a glimpse of him again. I had to confirm for myself that he was not an illusion. More than that, I had to confirm that the light that I had found in his eyes was more than just a fluke. The longer I went without seeing him, the more I became convinced that I had made it all up. That he was no different from the others, and that I was desperate for anything that would change the monotony of my dull days. But he was there again, and that same expression was unmistakably real. He was looking at me with those eyes that made me forget about this dreary place, that sent me far away. Ever since then, I couldn't get him out of my head. More so, I couldn't let go. At first, I was content glancing at him every now and again, a gentle reminder that not all is dark and not all hope is lost. But the more I gave in to thinking about him, the less I could accept the daily routine that I had been shoving down my own throat and pretending I was content with. What I'm saying is, I grew greedy. I had been looking for an escape this entire time, not knowing how to find one. I could leave, but where to? Nothing but death awaits those that venture outside the city walls. The only solace available to me might be the arms of another, but I had never found anyone to fit a hold of me. Still, things are different now. I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. That's why today I'll change my fate. I swallow hard, trying to calm my quaking heart and nervous breathing. He's memorizing. Hello. Good day. Can I help you? I don't believe we've met. Of course. Why would he remember me? The words I so carefully rehearsed failed to spill from my lips. Well, I have seen you around in the town square. Oh no, this isn't going anywhere. Oh, I recall now. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you earlier. I don't receive guests too often. Please, come in. Why don't you join me for some tea? It's something of a hobby of mine, growing plants and combining them into interesting flavor combinations. Unfortunately, I'm rather strapped for taste testers, so I'm unsure if they're any good. My face flushes. He's being so kind, but why? I'm no more than a stranger plucked from the streets. Perhaps, could it be, he sees the same light in my eyes that I see in his? A gentle warmth spreads throughout me, and I finally find it in me to meet his gaze. That sounds lovely. I must admit I'm no connoisseur of tea, but I do enjoy a cup every now and then. With plenty of milk, preferably. Oh, maybe that's a fox paw to a true tea enthusiast? No such thing. Some teas are better with milk and some without. There is plenty of time for you to get you acquainted. But please, it's quite chilly outside. Do come in, I insist. I nod in agreement and cannot help my smile from growing wider. It seems that whoever's daring truly does come out victorious. As I enter through the doorframe, I glance up at him and I can't help but notice those teeth look awfully sharp. The mansion's interior is reminiscent of an antique shop, one that does not get customers all too often. There's an eeriness to the way it looks almost abandoned, half hidden behind cobwebs and dust, but the familiar smell of old books wafts over me is enough to put me at ease. As I follow him through the hallway, I look around and wonder. The walls are lined with portraits of women. All of them look different, but they bear a chilly resemblance to one another. Some of them look emotionless, others sad or even anguished. Not one of them wears a smile. But the most settling of all, they remind me so very much of me. I'm gonna ask. Let's see what he's got to say about that. What lovely portraits. The artistry is apparent, but I must say they all look so sullen. Might I ask the story of these paintings? He turns around slowly and purses his lips as though he's unsure how to respond. After a drawn-out silence, I start. Oh, I'm sorry if I pried into something I shouldn't have. His eyes soften. No, don't worry. It's another hobby of mine, though I fear I'm not very good at it. After all this time painting the same subject, I have at least managed a modicum of skill as a portraiture. So they're all portraits of the same woman. Then, what love he must have for her. I feel a pang of jealousy within my gut as I picture him gazing at her intently, working to capture her likeness stroke by stroke. Do you like them? He stares longingly at the paintings for a moment, then directs his attention back to me. They're beautiful, truly. I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it. However, if you wouldn't mind me asking, who is she? He chuckles, turning his gaze towards me. You're just the same always. What? Can't you see? They're you. All of them are you. My beautiful pale one, shining like the moon in the night sky. How I would love to capture your smile. Ah, I can feel it. You feel it too, don't you? Yes, this time is different. The miracle I've been waiting for. You're drawn to me this time. You've never looked at me like that. Scarlet eyes sparkling, that face, no pain, no fear. It makes me happy. Oh, let's just play along. Probably end up dead anyway, like I always do. Conflicting emotions slosh around in the pit of my stomach, causing me to fall silent. I don't know how these paintings could possibly be of me, but how could I not feel flattered by such words? Our meeting in the town square must have made quite an impact on him after all. It seems he was simply afraid of overwhelming me. He's odd, but perhaps it's precisely that which has me charmed. I can't deny the connection I feel towards him. Seems like something more than a whim. Something that is set a light in the air between us when our eyes meet. Something that was always there in my dreams, just out of reach. But he's here now, and he's real, and he feels it too. Who am I to scoff at that, when I am the only one who could possibly understand? You would compare me to the moon? It's embarrassing to admit, but ever since I first laid eyes on you in the town square, you have been like the sun to me. You shine in these dreary days of dullness, reminding me of what good remains in this world. I bashfully squint my eyes shut and will myself to turn invisible. I can't believe I just said that out loud. If only you knew, my dear pale one, my rays of light can only reach their true magnificence when reflected by the moon. I have expected a mansion of the size to have servants sweeping the floors or conversing in hushed whispers as they pass throughout the hallways. However, I don't see a single soul as he guides me to the drawing room. Our only accompaniment, the echoing sound of our footsteps. The more I see of his residence, the more I am reminded of a ruin, a tomb where some nobleman lies buried beneath a pile of luxuries he no longer has use for. A sense of deep loneliness seeps out of every wall, threatening to suffocate me. I wonder how he feels, wandering through these hallways all alone. Here we are. Please, have a seat. I'll be right back. He gestures to a worn-down but clearly well-made sofa before disappearing behind a door. I sit down and look around the room to pass time. It's beautiful, but looks somehow disheveled. The candle stands crooked, and the candlesticks and a thin layer of dust covers most surfaces in the room, further exemplifying its apparent disuse. He steps back inside, a silver tray held delicately in hand. I hope I didn't keep you waiting too long. Not at all. He swiftly placed down 2 elegant teacups on the table, their aromatic steam breathing life into the stillness of the room. The sight of the lace doily pristine white color makes a slight worry creep up my back. I must not spill the tea. Steadying my hand, I lift the teacup and bring it to my lips. The tea ripples as I blow on it gently. Of course, it's entirely too hot to drink. This was merely a practice run. Perhaps a few minutes of conversation should have it ready. I take it you do not make much use of the drawing room? He lowers his cup and nods. I suppose it was obvious. The majority of my time was spent in my LTR, or my study when I wish to read. As you can likely tell by now, this place is far too spacious for me alone. Still, as long as I live in this dread city, I can't bring myself to abandon my family home, even if little remains of those who once called it so. Perhaps especially so because of that. I fell silent for a moment, unsure how to respond. Should I distract him from the dreary topic by delving into our shared interest in reading? It doesn't feel right skirting around his tragedy merely because it's unpleasant. Was it the Red Plague? My sister and I lost our parents and baby brother. It must be hard not having anyone. I did not mean to make you pity me. Death might be a consolation compared to wandering around this ghost of a city. I do hope your family is at peace. Apologies, I did not mean to dampen the mood. Now, enough of all that. Tell me, to what do I owe the pleasure of your visit? Oh no, I can't avoid it any longer. I came here for a reason, but would it be absurd to lay it on the table like this so soon? Then again, with the things he has said before, it feels as though he already knows my heart. Is there any point in hiding it anymore? Let's just go for it. I mean, he's already, basically said he's stalking us, so let's just roll with it. Perhaps against my better judgment, I muster up the courage to get the words out of my mouth. I'm about to say something insolent and brash. Will you forgive me? You can say anything to me and I'll accept it. My forgiveness is always irrevocably yours. Something about the kind look in his eyes and the candor in his words gives me a pause. I do not deserve this warmth. The reason I came here today is because I cannot forget about you. I simply cannot let you go. Ever since the eternal night fell, everyone in the city has been lost. They aren't alive. They're only puppets acting out of some play long after the audience has left. I too was lost, but when I looked into your eyes for the first time, I felt found. You aren't like them. You are the only person in this world who feels real. I know this sounds like insanity, and you are free to send me away. I have seen the way you look at me. If it is as I suspect, and this feeling is something you recognize, then please let me stay by your side. My heart pounds against my chest, but I feel relieved to finally speak aloud the feelings I held inside, no matter what comes next. I cannot believe it. Joy, elation, words fall short describing the feelings you've stirred inside me. I was right this time. Finally, you've come to your senses, and have come to see that you belong to me. He holds out his hand to me. It doesn't matter that I do not understand why. None of this matters, only that he and I exist, and that is the truth. Briefly, I think back to my home, to my workshop where I make the same dreamless robes day after day until my hands can remember the steps better than I remember the faces of my parents. To my sister who, try as she may to suppress it, holds that quiet resentment in her gaze when she looks at me. Why was I the one who lived and not my precious brother? Now I can leave it all behind. None of those ties have to bind me any longer, and I have another thread to hold on to. Oh, well, we only got one option. This eternal night exists because we cannot fulfill our roles without one another. Do you understand, don't you? Your purity is mine, and mine alone to corrupt. Corrupt me then. I won't protest. I'll make sure to savor it slowly. I think he might be dangerous. This might be entirely warped, a choice born out of desperation. But right now, that thought doesn't reach my heart. All of this makes sense. No, it has to make sense. If it doesn't, the red moon will howl us all out, and don't know how much longer I could have taken it before I would have ended up like them. It is better to go out with blaze than to be ground into dust. He moves over and brushes his fingers against me softly, running them first along my cheek, then over my lips and down my neck. Every touch sends a spark that alleviates my loneliness just a little more. Bit by bit, he caresses every inch of my exposed skin, making me tremble. His breath tickles my ear as he whispers, I want to rip you open. If I could live inside you. But don't worry. I'll make sure no harm befalls you, my love. I press my lips against his shakily, but my hesitance finds no reply in him as he pulls me in. His mouth moves against mine insatiably, seeming to carry all the weight of a lifetime of yearning. It's nothing I have ever felt before. I melt into his rhythm with a sigh, wrapping my arms around him as I lose faith in my ability to support my own body. Then he parts from me and takes my face in his hands. A smile spreads across his face as he presses his forehead against mine. I have seen you in so many forms, but this one is new. Even the scent of the blood in your veins has become sweeter. Everyone has forgotten the hundreds upon thousands of times this night has repeated. Even you. I am the only one who remembers all of you. That is why I am the only one who can have you. You are mine. I am yours. He runs his tongue along my neck. I feel his veins graze against my skin and hold back a gasp. It's so true. It's not that I've never heard of them before, those cursed to walk between life and death. I suppose I had thought of them more of a tale to scare misbehaving children. Maybe I should have known when I saw his grin. He's a vampire. and you offer me your blood, the eternal night will come to a final end. Our curse will be dissolved, you'll be free. Go on then, do it. But freedom can be a terrifying thing. I'll have you, won't I? Unable to stay away from him now that I have had a taste, I kiss him again. A quiet peace falls over us as we desperately try to fill the gaps between our physical forms. My dearest pale one. His fangs brush against my neck once more, but they ask to sink deeper this time. Taking a deep breath, I give a small nod. He breaks my skin and I shut my eyes tightly. It burns white hot, but the pain isn't unpleasant. Absolutely delicious. I feel him softly chuckle against me. Tastes better without resistance after all. He desperately drains me to the point where I start to feel lightheaded and loosen my grip. I tug at his back and he pauses to look down at me. My weakened body collapses into his as the world stirs. So, closed eyes, I can feel an unfamiliar sensation. Warm, thin strokes of light filter through the window. I open my eyes in shock and cling to him, lacking the strength to lift my arms. It seems my curse does not end here. What? No, wait. He slowly raises a limp hand towards me. My moon. He hacks and coughs with features scrunched in anguish as flames clutch at his back. The first light of dawn is no sweet relief to a creature of the night. How could he have not known, or did he know? Do I detect the faintest trace of a smile amid all the pain, or is it merely a trick of the light? The crackling noise makes me wince as a horrible stench emerges from his charred and twisted skin. Smoke climbs through my nose and mouth, suffocating me slowly. I can no longer tell if my tears are from the pain or from the tragedy of this outcome. Can my body quell these flames, or will they simply spread and consume me? Is there anything I can do? Don't go. You can't. No, please. You can't leave me behind. What am I supposed to do without you? But he has no mouth to respond to me with. Before me lies nothing but a pile of ash. Ending 3. Unfit to meet the Dale. Well. Okay. Yeah. So, that was kind of sad, really. I mean, really sad. Not just kind of sad. That was really sad. So, alright. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, even though it was a sad ending. I will leave the link to the game in the description so you guys can play it for yourself and get the other endings. Hopefully a good one, because let's be honest, I'm pretty good at getting bad endings. Alright. I will see you on the next one, and later. Bye-bye.